Remember when Christmas fairs were the highlight of the season? Mulled wine, Christmas carols, mince pies, roasted chestnuts, toffee apples that used to get stuck on your teeth. Absolutely wonderful. Well, Manchester police rather killed the Yuletide spirit by posting on the social media site X that the Christmas markets in Manchester this year will see a heightened police presence with armed cops on hand to tackle any threats. Has it come to this, that the celebration of our Christian heritage and an event aimed at the entire family, including small children, must resemble a war zone? Well, following the Manchester Arena attack, 7-Eleven and London Bridge, that is exactly what Britain has become. We are at war and the enemy is within. Now, whilst the vast majority of people that have come into this country make a huge contribution, this nation has always been a melting pot, and I myself am the son of immigrants, there is a small but dangerous minority who have made their home in the United Kingdom and who have had families here, who hate the values of this place and everything that it represents. It means that, for example, a popular Christmas fair in Lincolnshire has been cancelled due to concerns about a possible terror threat. Now, this wonderful fair, which has been going for 25 years and is run by the Rotary Club of Woodhall Spa, with revellers enjoying homemade jam, cheeses, Christmas puddings and other festive delights, won't happen this year because the authorities have considered the risk to the public of an ideological extremist trying to come in and kill everyone. They think the risk of that happening is now too high. So is this what our heroes of World War I and World War II died for? Their great motivation was freedom and democracy. And we now have a minority element in this country that wants to kill its own citizens because they belong to a death cult that we've done precious little to address, mainly because of woke political correctness and the attachment to the mantra that diversity is our strength. Now, diversity is our strength, but not when some in our flock seek, and I quote, death to the West. Now, some have complained that the authorities have overreacted to the terror threat, as this event only lasts for 4 hours every evening and only attracts around 4,000 people to its 110 stalls. The Rotary Club of Woodhall Spa do a fantastic job, but they've said on their website that over the years, health and safety requirements have become increasingly onerous. And they feel that this year, even following the completion of a 67-page health and safety compliance document, that the event just isn't viable. Well, we've been here before. Last year, Lincoln Christmas Market, the oldest Christmas market in the UK, was cancelled over similar health and safety fears. We can't have anything nice anymore, can we? Now, I understand that the authorities are concerned about our safety. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't. It's hard to get cross with the council, the police or the organisers because the risk is real. The same goes for Christmas markets in Germany, France, Holland and elsewhere. But this sorry tale just demonstrates how the traditions of this country and the values that underpin it are being chipped away. Even the word Christmas has been cancelled by companies and local authorities in favour of the generic happy holidays, which makes me want to vomit. It is Christmas. Perhaps poor old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is on an ISIS hit list. What a pitiful state we are in when you can't have a Christmas market without concrete barriers being erected to stop a mad extremist mowing everyone down in a 4x4. This is what happens when you don't police the streets or when you don't police British values. Like when the authorities turn a blind eye to hateful anti-Semitism at those so-called peace marches we've seen every weekend, with people openly calling for holy war and the elimination of Israel, all without censure, sometimes in front of the cenotaph, which is there to remember our war dead. Meanwhile, one of the country's leading journalists, the brilliant Alison Pearson, is visited by cops on Remembrance Sunday for allegedly writing something unkind on the internet. Soon, poor old Father Christmas will be cancelled for fear that that bulging sack of his could put his back out. Christmas is coming, folks, and I don't want socks or aftershave. I want our country back. Your reaction, gbnews.com/your say. But first, tonight's top pundits. Journalist at the political website Guido Fawkes, which celebrates its 20th anniversary this week, Ellie Wheatley. Veteran writer and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. And the former executive editor of the News of the World, the brilliant Neil Wallace. Nina Mishkov, what does it tell us about modern Britain that Christmas markets need armed cops?
I think we're the same as many places around the world. And in fact, you know, decades ago, we had the IRA here. I was standing in Harrods just the week before Christmas, back in the 70s, buying some last-minute, gift wrap and stuff like that.
Nice.
And it was on the ground floor.
So even then you were a woman of means?
I don't think I really was, but I mean, I was buying sort of ribbon and wrap. That was it. That wasn't too much.
I think the prices at Harrods, they weren't silly in those days, were they?
No, they were absolutely fine. They weren't bad. Anyway,
pre-Al Fayed. Anyway, let's not go there.
Let's not go there. So I was standing in a queue waiting to pay, and suddenly about a dozen police just barreled through the door, ran through and said, "Everybody out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out." And I just dropped what I was holding and ran and then by the time I'd got, well, it was maybe 200 or 300 yards down the road, there were police everywhere, there were people just running and people screaming. Bomb went off. That was then. That was in the 70s. So we're talking, 50 years ago?
Yeah, and was that the IRA?
Yes, IRA, yeah.
I mean, of course, it was ever thus. We've always faced terror threats, haven't we, Ellie? But Christmas markets, armed cops in Manchester, they're doing their best to keep us safe, but it tells us that we're losing grip of what this country is.
Absolutely. I mean, we are a Christian country with Christian values, and we should be unapologetic in celebrating them. And, of course, Christmas market, etc. I mean, what does it tell us when we're kowtowing to the tyranny of the minority? As you say, that the small minority of people who are a threat, but that our authorities, the government, the police, they're giving in, right? And actually, I think we need to have an honest conversation about the real issue here. Is why is there a threat, And
why do they target things like Christmas markets?
Exactly, and it just shows that integration hasn't worked, especially in some of these cities, and like in Manchester, etc. So, I mean, for example, the Mail the other day revealed that there are loads of foreign nationals who are in the UK who are mass murderers, and they're terrorists, and they cannot be deported because of the ECHR. Now, whether or not leaving the ECHR would help us deport them is another topic of debate. However, it does show we need to be doing something about this so we can be unapologetic in our Christian values, be able to celebrate Christmas markets.
You say Christian values, but even the Church of England, let's not go into the Archbishop of Canterbury and any of that. There's many topics we can't go into. Has stated that we're now a secular country. I mean, fewer than 50% of people go to church, and that's not taking into account the people who come from different ethnic backgrounds or different religions. This is the British people. Yeah. We don't go to church anymore. So you can talk about Christian values. And actually, if you watch television or looked at the media in the run up to Christmas, there is nothing Christian about it. It is all big sell, Marks and Spencer's, groaning tables of food, which actually make me sick. Yeah. That Dawn French ad makes me really, really cross. Groaning tables of food when there are so many people who cannot afford to put, baked beans and toast on the table.
It is a tragedy.
It's shocking.
Blimey, you're not coming round on the 25th?
No, I won't be here.
You'll depress the life out of me. I was planning a caterpillar cake and everything.
It's sad that people aren't going to church as much. But when I say Christian values, I'm not necessarily saying, if you believe in God or not.
Correct.
I'm talking about the sort of morals behind what you're taught at school, Christian schools and church, etc.
But how many people do you think adhere to those or live by those thoughts?
Well, the point is, I mean, isn't it, Neil, that... What were you going to say, Neil?
This is the Grinch who stole Christmas, isn't it? I mean, quite seriously, they're both right. The point is that the values of this is a fundamentally Christian company. Our laws, our culture is based, even though I quite accept, I speak as a practicing Christian, incidentally, are not filling the churches anymore, but the ethics of this country, the morality of this country, the approach of this country is primarily based around the Christian beliefs of many, many centuries. The problem we have here is, and the Blair government became obsessed with what it called multiculturalism. All that meant is that when people were welcomed into this country with the most incredible generosity from Muslim countries and countries of other beliefs, they
Australians,
were
New Zealanders, Canadians, Europeans.
They were encouraged, allowed to stay in ghettos. If you go to very large areas of this country, there is barely a of that particular religion in that area.
Very homogenous, sort of ghettoised communities.
Yes, and what you haven't got in this country, I'm afraid, it's a wonderful word, diversity, and a word I completely believe in, but integration has basically not happened. Now, about 6 months ago in France, a mullah went on television and called effectively for the destruction of the French state and that it must become a Sharia country instantly. The French government had him arrested and deported within about 48 hours back to Morocco, where he came from originally. Just a week or so ago, a Muslim mullah went on television in this country and said, this is going to be a Sharia country. We are taking over this country. I believe that is incredibly destructive. I think that is what's encouraging the sort of madness that leads to things like the arena bombing.
Most definitely. And concrete barriers at a Christmas market that's been going for 25 years. And by the way, let me stress that my argument is that these Christmas markets are for all Brits of all races, cultures and backgrounds. But the point is that in 2024, these Christmas markets are not safe. What does that tell you about the direction of our country? I think we'll come back to this with the papers.